mankind hesitated to eradicate the creatures that stand in the path of his conquest. If we find ritual extermination, odors from another world, must be destroyed. Is it possible that our dark past might repeat itself?
Watch them and pray.
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, government agents, iOS 14 users, and anybody who might be listening. This is Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. I'm your host, Tasker, as per usual, and we have sitting over there doing some questionable things with his hands, Nick.
First off, I just want to point out for this episode, all right? I'm fucking hype. I'm excited, all right? I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to go into right what we're saying before we even do the horoscopes. If you can read, if you passed third grade, you would know that we are doing historical werewolves.
Yes.
Werewolves are fucking awesome. They're my favorite creatures of all time. I love horror movies. Try and take a guess as to what my favorite horror genre is.
I was going to say whatever X-Men is.
That's a different type of horror movie where a director thought it was a horror movie and fucked it up. No, werewolves, all right, are my favorite. And also, if anybody's questioning my credibility, which you never should, but if you're questioning it as far as werewolves, just know that when I was 12 years old, I begged my stepdad, and my mom to buy me a certification on a website called fvza.org, okay? The Federal Vampire and Zombie Agency.
Oh.
And they also have a subset for werewolves. So I know a pretty good amount about werewolves.
Oh, boy.
Technically, I am certified.
Well, I remember, too, back when you were younger, you had some fat, like, mutton chops. Everyone called you Wolverine for a while. Like, it's so in your blood, it, like, physically manifests in you.
I wish I was a werewolf. I wish more than anything on earth. But unfortunately, I haven't been bitten yet. So I keep putting Craigslist ads out there. Hey, any werewolves looking to bite a young nubile boy, just to get him in. And then they come in and find me. I'm like, bite my dick. Give me the curse.
And how many bites were you managed to procure? I mean, like, that ended up just having syphilis.
It just turned into sex.
Yeah,
that was the problem.
Or the solution.
Well, so werewolves, we're doing it. But before we get into it, you can tell I'm excited. Before we get into it, Tasker, tell me a little bit about what the stars are trying to tell you today.
Oh, I gotta know. It's a fucking ad just came up. God damn it. It's so annoying.
This world we live in.
Yeah, so I also just recently upgraded to iOS 14, so if my phone just stops working where I have all my information, you know why.
Dude, what's his name? Tim Cook?
Yeah.
Dude, he probably cucks.
I honestly do. They actually say that most CEOs tend to have a more subordinate bedroom manner because being a big boss, you're always in charge of people and people tend to reverse when they're in bed. This has nothing to do with the horoscope at all, but I just thought it'd be a little fun fact.
So he does cuck.
Yeah, probably.
He watches a bull.
Statistically speaking, probably.
Cool. Good for you, Tim Cook.
Yeah. Tim Cook. Oh, God. Our phones are just going to get shut off tomorrow. Okay, so horoscope for me. Are you going to go away soon, Scorpio? If not, you may be planning a trip for another month, perhaps going for educational purposes, such as to attend a workshop. You might have agreed to some overseas business travel. You should feel especially energetic, enthusiastic, and optimistic now. You've done well thanks to your diligent work, and you should continue on that path.
Are you going overseas for business?
I hope not. With fucking quarantine and corona, that's a terrible idea. I mean, I have been working a lot. That's been nice. I actually have gigs I've been doing.
So it's half right. Let's say they're half right.
I'll take a half right, where it's the whole you've done well thanks to your diligent work.
I just had the most horrific thought. I think what they're alluding to is the fact that there might be a draft tomorrow.
Son of a bitch.
And you're getting called overseas.
Yeah, well, today, the day we're recording this, obviously not the day we're posting it, there's a big protest in Portland right now, I think, with the Proud Boys and Antifa. And they're both protesting and counter-protesting at the same time. So some people are worrying this is going to be like the next... what was it like? Do you remember in with your history, Bleeding Kansas back in Civil War?
Nope.
Well,
Sorry, man. I don't know much about the Civil War.
Well, we should start learning about it because there's a lot of similar things are happening. Like, I don't know the exact, like, obviously I should read more into it because I'm just pulling from like 8th grade history right now, completely like destroying any sort of pathos I have with you guys. But
It's in your character,
Yes.
you nerd.
Yeah, I guess
Bringing up
so.
fucking history class and shit when I'm still trying to forget about it 10 years later.
oh yeah, do you remember INBs?
No, what's that? INBs?
Yeah, probably for the better. Interactive notebooks where
Oh,
you had to save every assignment you ever did, and if you didn't, you got a fat fucking like grade chop at the end of the whatever section you were at.
I remember that shit.
Garbage. But anyways, back before the Civil War happened, you know, people couldn't agree on slavery and shit like that. You know, there was a big, I don't know, like in modern day, big racial argument.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's two sides to each coin. They both made really good points.
Mhm.
You know, you just agreed with that.
I
That makes you racist.
I'm just gonna
What is this, Django Unchained?
No.
You're just gonna start agreeing with slaves?
no. Wait, hold on. Wait. The point I'm trying to make is that these tensions came to a head until people started shooting each other, and people like, you know, they would protest, and then it ended in violence, and then of course it kept escalating and escalating until an election happened, which we are in a very pivotal election year. And when Abraham Lincoln got elected, that was like the last straw, and people just seceded. So nowadays, with this like little protest, which I'm hoping just goes without a hitch, because okay, riddle me this. What if that like escalates to like violence and it turns into like a battle? One could argue that could like be what starts the Second Civil War,
Yeah,
which we brought up before. We predicted this. We said that could happen.
it will happen.
So with you saying that there might be a draft soon, that actually, I think I'm above. No, actually I'm not. Because I remember when I was like obsessed with Navy SEALs like a month or two ago.
Yeah, when you were gonna like join, I remember that. Yeah, that was great.
And then I tried doing a push-up, and I was like, actually. But yeah, no, I technically could still be drafted. So can you.
Yep. They'll never get me though. I'm gonna move to Canada.
Yeah. I love that if you've listened to the podcast, you could piece together at the very least that, you know, Nick and I are at least over the age of 12 and under the age of like, what is it, 32?
Yes, 30, 32, something like that. We're under the cutoff for the draft.
Yes.
But I'm old enough to have sex legally in California.
Mm-hmm. As far as you know. You don't know. We don't know your criminal history.
Yeah, exactly. No, I said I am. I don't know about the people I've been with.
Oh, fair enough. All right. What about your star-seeded fucking horoscope, whatever?
You might have to play nurse today, Cancer. Hey.
Oh.
Just call me Nurse Jackie. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
A love partner could claim to feel unwell, and you might expand a lot of energy trying to make your friend feel better. Don't overdo it. There may be psychological factors at work. Your friend could be jealous of the attention you've been giving family and friends. Be attentive, but within limits. This is a plot to a porn that I have seen before.
I was gonna say this is a little uncanny.
And honestly, going to be right today, at least it's not relevant. I haven't had to give any recuperation hand jobs to anybody yet today.
You're pretty famous for those too.
And I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah,
Give
very
me
good
old
at it.
corkscrew. But, you know, today I haven't had to do that. So I'm going to say false.
Yeah, wow. I think today's been the first real misstep on the horoscopes. They were kind of wrong. I mean, unless for me, it's a little to be determined. Like if I get drafted next month, then like, well, GG, I guess.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if you got drafted and I didn't?
I would be so fucking mad. Like that would be just so typical America.
Or if you got drafted for like the South and I got drafted for the North or vice versa.
I could also see that too. Like that would be so awkward too in the battlefield, where it's just like, well, I feel like too, like I think we would purpose because we know we got to get back to the podcast eventually. So it's that sort of like, okay, dude, just shoot me in the leg and we'll just call it.
Let's just shoot each other. It's like that one scene in Family Guy where they try to get out of the army, Stewie and Brian. So like we could just try and shoot each other in the foot. You'll miss, and I'll pretend that you shot me and say it hurts really bad, and then you're gonna shoot me for real.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah. Okay, works for me.
Cool. All right, so we got a deal.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said up top, very excitedly and a little too excitedly, we're talking about werewolves. So we're gonna be going over. Like I said, this is very near and dear to my heart. And it will be the first of a two-part series of historical werewolves, specifically werewolves from the distant past. That's what historical means. break out your notebooks.
Yeah, and this is the first time we've done a historical something since probably the beginning of our podcast.
Yes, it's been a while. We did vampires, which I thoroughly enjoyed back in the day.
Right.
But this one I'm going to enjoy even more.
Yeah, we're a lot more refined now. I hope.
That's the goal. That's the goal. But sometimes I still come off sounding like a mongoloid, you know. Might have to cut that. All right. So this will include their origins, different myths, and the like. And as a fair warning, this episode and other werewolf episodes we plan to do in the future will be the closest we'll ever get to covering furries on this podcast. Okay.
And I find it interesting that the thing that edges closest to the thing you bash on the most is the subject you enjoy the most. Actually,
I too thought about that, and it made me do some introspective thinking last night. I was very frightened.
Wow. So this subject matter is so good it actually made you like rethink your existence.
Only because of its connection to furries.
Right.
And the fact that I like werewolves so much.
Did you come up with anything? Like, did you find an excuse to say that werewolves are technically not furries?
They are definitely not furries, but a comparison could be drawn.
Yes.
They're anthropomorphic.
Right.
But when furries have sex with each other, they yiff.
Right.
When werewolves have sex with each other, they fuck.
Right.
There's a difference.
Well, and like werewolves are more of a actual animals, whereas furries are people pretending to be animals.
Yes, in Walmarts. Yeah.
For a sexual thrill, which of course is not all of them, but
who are you kidding? It is all of them, dude. I've never once seen or met a furry who wasn't a sexual deviant.
But that's a good comparison of like, because obviously I think a furry would enjoy turning into a werewolf. So it's that whole thing of like not all people who like werewolves are furries, but every furry probably likes werewolves.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that. Yeah, you're right. That's a good way to put it. And
you're also not in control when you're a werewolf. Like in that state, like you're an animal, which has kind of its ups and downs.
All ups for me. That's it, man. That's it, baby. Okay, but yeah, so we're not talking about furries, and we're not gonna be. All right, I just wanted to point that out in case somebody snidely messaged us saying, wow, didn't know you guys like furries this whole time. Why'd you do a two-parter on werewolves? You know what? I'll tell you what, buddy. Why don't you come over and fight me, all right, with your rhetoric and your jokes. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but I'll break your bones back, bro.
Especially on a full moon, man.
Yeah, come find me at a full moon. I'll pretend to turn into a werewolf.
You just rip your shirt off. You have a bunch of like from your last haircut like taped on you all over. Hey, we could do that on live shows.
Hey, I'll do it. If the audience wants it, I'll turn into a werewolf on stage, dude. I'll reenact the American Werewolf in London transformation for you guys.
Perfect. We might have to kill somebody for it, though.
I'll do it.
It won't be legit. Werewolves, they wouldn't go by and turn to a werewolf without killing at least one person.
Exactly. So, if that makes you a little uncomfortable or squeamish or gives you some kind of erectile dysfunction, right? The comparison to furries, turn off the podcast because I would too. But I almost did, actually. Regardless, I love werewolves, and I wish I could be one. But unfortunately, like the rest of you, I'm trapped in this mortal human body for now.
Fucking sucks.
But without further delay, let's put on our satanic wolfskin belts and dive right into the subject.
Ooh, exciting.
Okay, so first and foremost, let's do what we always do when discussing a new being or creature. We got to talk about what werewolves are and what they look like, baby. The cool shit.
Well, and there's a lot of have you been seeing the footage for the new Resident Evil game?
I have.
Yeah, the Resident Evil 8, I think, Village. Yeah, and they just released stills of what the Resident Evil werewolf looks like.
I didn't see it. Is it dope looking?
It looks pretty cool. Like, let me see if I can pull it up really quick. So here it is.
Oh, see, yeah, that's dope. If you guys like Resident Evil, look up the Resident Evil 8 werewolf. It looks sick.
Yeah, it kind of looks like, it makes me think of like a troll kind of thing. Like,
it reminds me of the werewolf. And have you seen the horror movie Howl from 2015? that
No.
takes place on a train. Holy shit. That is one of the best werewolf movies in the last decade. You got to watch it. If I'm sure some of our fans out there have seen it. I know we have some horror movie fans. That's what that werewolf reminds me of, that werewolf design where it's not blatantly a werewolf,
Right.
but it's a werewolf and it looks more human than wolf.
Yeah, and I think that's a cool design choice of like choosing to have more humanistic elements, but with the bulk and body of a big Wolverine monster.
That's my favorite type of werewolf. And we're going to get into the different types of werewolves, but that's by far my favorite kind is what we call a hybrid. And really quick, I do want to point out that this section of our episode may seem a little arbitrary to some because we all know for the most part what a werewolf is and what it looks like. But it's important that we aren't skipping it. And by important, I mean it's because it's fucking badass and we're not skipping it.
Yep. And actually, I should also point out the time of this being posted will be September 31st. So technically, this is our first Horror Bonanza October episode.
Hell yeah. Wait, is there 31 days this month?
I just guessed. I don't know.
No,
30.
there's 30. So it would be the 30th.
Ah.
And that is the day before October, our favorite holiday.
And we would wait to put it on October 1st, but then it would be out a day late. We're just going to, we'll round up.
We're professionals.
Exactly.
So, a werewolf is a man or a woman. There have been women. I'm not being exclusatory here.
Yeah, well, it's anybody who gets bit by them, I'm assuming.
Anybody who turns into a wolf, either voluntarily or involuntarily, depending on how they contracted lycanthropy.
Which, but also, side note, because I'm thinking about it, I always thought it was really funny how whenever it's like in a video game or like a movie, whenever it's like if there's ever a woman who gets like infected with, vampire werewolf, something that would involve a transformation, that their clothes always transform with them. So that way they always at least have like a sports bra on when they like transform.
It's a goddamn shame.
That's not how that would happen though. Like if it's, you got to go all in.
Gotta go on. I want to see werewolf titties.
Yeah, it's how it would go. I mean, they'd be covered in fur and like probably like look terrifying, but that's part of it.
That's part of the appeal.
Exactly.
Lycanthropy is the disease or curse, depending on what happens, which makes these mortals turn into wolves. And that is why you might hear werewolves being referred to as lycans.
Why does that Rise of the Lycans? Wasn't that a Blade movie or some shit?
That was an underworld movie. And it was fucking awesome.
I never got into I assume you've probably seen all of those, right?
I have.
They looked really cool, but they also came out when I was a kid, and I grew up in a really strict Catholic household. So I was one of those kids that was not allowed to watch a rated R movie until I actually turned 17.
Damn. Yikes. I have them on DVD if you want to watch them sometime.
That actually sounds sick.
When the werewolves are in their wolf state, they do not retain any semblance of their human selves. For instance, they're very aggressive, they're animalistic, they're extremely deadly, but most importantly, they're always hungry.
See, I know on the outline it says deadly, but for a second I read that as daddy.
Oh, they're always daddy.
Yeah, they're always daddy. So, when it comes to the relationship, they're always the dominant.
They're always the top. They're the power bottom. There are two different types of werewolves as far as general appearance goes, like we were mentioning earlier. First, we have the werewolves who literally turn into a full-fledged wolf, be they a normal-sized wolf or a massive, bigger-than-usual wolf. But the point here is that they look no different physically than the wolves we know of in conventional zoology.
So you wouldn't be able to tell at all.
Wouldn't even be able to tell. They walk on all fours, same exact look, same behaviors, except some of them might be a lot larger than regular wolves.
And weirdly enough, that's to me the most believable, because if we're going under the assumption that this actually exists,
which it does, though don't you dare crush my dreams.
If we are under the assumption it exists, this one would probably be the most probable, because obviously there's legends, shocker, all died out the minute we all had DNA evidence and cameras. What a weird coincidence. But
hey, whoa. No, you can't just say shit like that and swing by it like nothing happened.
Why would suddenly all these fantastic creatures that supposedly exist, suddenly there's just no more of them? Or what is that?
Because it's the same exact reason why other animals are going extinct, is because we're building shit all over their homelands. They have no place to live. They have no place to hunt.
If they're so mystical, or if they were like I feel like there would be something would take its place. Something would show up. Like it's you know what? It's because we have cameras and ways of tracking it, and now we're suddenly realizing, oh, maybe all that shit was just made up.
Nah, I think you're just a naysayer.
This is possible.
You're being a government shill right now about this whole situation, and it's freaking me out.
I'm on a team single listener in DC right now. We know you're here. But this would actually be very probable, though, if it were real, in that somebody would turn in just a regular wolf, which would be biologically or zoologically like not different at all from an actual wolf, and then you just change back into a human, and I don't know, you could just call it like sleepwalking or some shit.
I can see where you're coming from, but the next type of werewolf I think is the one that's more reasonable, and I'll get into it. I'll get into why. We'll have a peaceful debate about it.
Okay,
a peaceful one.
I'm down for the experiment.
The experiment of a peaceful debate. So the second type of werewolf, and my personal favorite, is what we will call a hybrid werewolf. These guys stand on their hind legs and look like a hybrid, as the name suggests, between a man and a wolf. They are usually pretty massive, very muscular, and between 6 to 9 feet tall, with hair all over except for maybe parts of their chest, stomach, face, and hands. This is not fanfic. This is
right.
This is not my fantasy. This is just fact.
Yeah, Nick's not even reading from the outline. He's just going right from the dome on this one.
But they're jacked.
Right.
They're massive.
Yeah, just so huge that you just want their like bulky, furry pecs just over your face as you lie down in a bed of flower petals.
Look, buddy, all right, look, you're coming dangerously close to furry yiffing territory. And that's not where I'm going with this.
I'm just following the mood. I'm just following where it goes.
But they have razor sharp teeth and claws, as you would expect from something called a werewolf.
Right.
Now, there is a large debate on whether or not these hybrid werewolves have tails or not. Personally, I believe that they have small tails, at least small tails.
Yeah.
And that's because it's like, the way I look at it is it's like having 2 wieners, and that's cool.
Like I said, flower petals, man.
I don't know, dude. I don't know why I keep going to this.
I don't think you did enough soul searching last night. I think you needed to take some more time to really dive into where this is coming from.
All right, look, I just wish I was one so bad that I think I'm turned on by them. I think that's the problem.
So, and I think that's a good point to make, though, is it's like, it's not a I want to have werewolf dick. It is, I want to be a werewolf with a werewolf dick. And that's,
yes,
it's almost similar to like how, if you're like a lifter and you have a bunch of like photos and stuff of like buff men, that doesn't necessarily mean you're sexually attracted to them. It's just, it's a goal you have in mind. And if you are sexually attracted to them, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, there's a difference.
That's a really good way to put it. See, yeah, I have a bunch of werewolf pictures up in my room. But that doesn't mean that I'm fapping to them.
You don't have to. No.
That just means that's what I achieved to be. That's why I've officially this week stopped manscaping. All right, I will grow all of my hair out.
Well, it is also becoming fall very soon, so that's actually not too bad.
Yeah, got to stay cool, warm.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, exactly, and also too. See, the limit would be the body pillow. That's kind of a that's kind of that. Why else would you have one?
You have a body pillow.
I do, and it's of an anime girl, and you know what? I'm not ashamed of it.
All right. You came off strong and confident. I'm going to leave it be. I'm not even going to poke at it.
Plus, it's from one of like. Okay, we can just move on.
I'm pretty sure I bought that for you.
Yeah, you were definitely involved in it. I'm pretty sure. And I mean, it's not like I have it like laying out in the open or anything like that. And like, also too, I mean, you guys know I've been on NoFap. I've been sticking to it. So it's more of a relic.
Yeah, and it's because you can't even sleep with it anymore. It's crusty and hard now.
Yeah, yeah, it's like sleeping with a like a board.
Yeah, surfboard. Yeah, hell yeah. So here's why. So the hybrid type werewolf is my favorite kind of werewolf. All right, where it's like the ones that you see in a lot of modern depictions, right?
Right.
And the reason there's 2 reasons that it's my favorite. One is because it's a lot more badass. In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because just turning into a regular wolf is like. I mean, it's cool to a degree, but that's more like...
I'm not like Native American, I'm not going to just start turning into like eagles and shit.
I don't think Native Americans can do that.
I don't know, dude. I never met one before.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I at my back in my old college, it was actually a big center for a lot of the Native groups to they have this thing called the it was called the powwow because it was exactly that.
No way they called it a powwow.
Yeah, well, that's what a real powwow is Native American. It's a big group of like where at least in the process, it was like a bunch of different groups of them. And the reason I say group instead of tribe is because I had a class on it and they were like, yeah, actually the word tribe technically can be used as a way to like make them come off as more savage. Because dude, we've been fucking over Native Americans since we've came to this country, like, and that has not stopped. But I remember just being there and just being just like a white dude. Like I felt so like unwelcome.
Did you feel like you're going to get scalped at any second?
No, I did not because that's fucking really racist.
You know, coming at you with like a what do they call those, arrowheads?
I am horrified.
I don't know.
And I do know they had this thing called fry bread, which is fucking delicious. And what they had is the description. It was delicious. You get like honey on it and stuff. It was super good. But the description, when you finally got up to the stand that was making them, had like this really like, oh yeah, the reason we have fry bread is because of all the like basically like internment camps we threw them in, or when we stole all their shit, and they invented fry bread because they had to make something tasty out of the very little rations that were given to them.
Yeah, see, and they probably turned into eagles and wolves so they can get food and shit, and that's what I'm saying. It's not like as cool. No offense.
If they would, they could, and I wouldn't blame them and use it for like tactical advantage. I do not blame them. It's fucking tough being a Native American in America.
Tell me about it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a Native American, dude. I've been here since I was born, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure. Jeez.
And I'm an alcoholic, so
yeah. That's yeah.
Racist.
Very.
Don't. But
so we'll see if this makes the cut. That was pretty bad. That conversation was bad.
It was good. It was good that the audience knows where we're coming from.
Exactly. Knows what we're about. Knows that the level of ignorance you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So Native American listeners, it's been fun. We appreciate having you here, but
they don't have Wi-Fi on
we're
reservations.
We're gonna miss you very much.
They're not listening to this. It's like the Amish.
Not anymore, dude. If we could ever get an Amish listener, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, if we have one Amish listener, tell me how you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did you make smoke signals and then you were able to like replicate them into like sound waves? I don't understand how it works either.
They managed to catch the podcast sound waves using the smoke and then translated that into grooves, which they make a rudimentary record player.
Oh, cool. Good for them, dude.
So it'll be very slow and I'm sure each episode takes like 5 hours to listen to. But if you're Amish, you got time, I imagine.
Yeah. You're only building farms and shit. So I'm going to say that they're my favorite. Like I said, first because they're badass, the hybrids, but also because I see it as being more biologically possible only because I feel like it. Okay, look, I'm not, like I say almost every episode, I'm not a scientist and I never claimed to be a scientist, but I feel like transforming into a wolf completely seems harder to me on the body than kind of transforming into a wolf. I don't know.
Well, you actually make a good point there because if you turn into a completely different creature, your whole skeletal structure is being reformed. And I imagine that is an incredibly painful process. Not to say that doesn't happen when you turn into a hybrid one, but I imagine, as we've seen in most depictions, like the hybrid werewolves do have kind of a more human-like build.
Right.
So it's probably less hard on the body. I mean, the whole idea of like rapid growth and then rapid shrinking a couple hours later due to the reflection of moonlight, which is realistically stupid because moonlight is the reflection of sunlight. So it's basically just sun rays. So if werewolves are so legit, why wouldn't the fucking sun make them turn into werewolves? It's the same light.
Because maybe there's something on the moon that's making the light different, dude, on a particle level.
Oh, yeah. So it's a type of Fine.
I don't know. Look, but when you were talking about like the rapid expansion and shrinkage in a full moon, you described every erection I've ever had. So that was weird.
That only happened on full moons too. That's gotta be. That's a hard lifestyle.
Yeah, it's called ED.
It is actually.
So there are also two main types of werewolves when it comes to their transformation and the frequency of their transformation. Speaking of the full moon.
Yeah.
On one side, we have the ones that most of us know of and the ones that we just talked about, right? The werewolves who transform by the moonlight of a full moon. Pretty standard.
Yeah, or sunlight.
Whatever. On the other side, we have werewolves who can transform to and from their wolf form at will. And these werewolves are referred to as theriomorphs.
Or just animorphs.
No.
Isn't there I mean, I think they could do it in I know there's a class in World of Warcraft where you can transform into animals. Is that a druid?
It is a druid.
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
Probably something very shameful, I'm sure.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, I know a couple things. But and that's another interesting comparison to make is how close does this come to druids? Because druids can transform. It depends on, I don't know the whole definition of druids, which maybe we could get into deeper. But I don't know, can they only transform into, their spirit animal, or can they transform into any animal?
I will point out the druids in World of Warcraft are basically not even the same thing as actual druids. They just use the name.
Got it.
But you're getting close because theriomorphs is also something that is used to describe certain shamans and certain practices who are able to transform into different animals. So, and that leads me to my next point. Theriomorphs aren't specifically for wolves. It could be for being able to change into any animal and back at will. That's why some shamans are used or are called theriomorphs. But in this instance, werewolves who can transform to and from at will are called theriomorphs.
I see. So there's a difference. So that's kind of more in the realm of shape-shifting versus traditional werewolf lycanthropy.
Yes, but the fact that that it's tied into lycanthropy and they can do it at will, they just meshed them in as theriomorphs, which makes sense because they can they're technically shape-shifting.
I knew I fucked up lycanthropy. I was that fucking stupid kid in class who would always just pronounce it way too literally, and the teacher just you fucking dumbass.
Well, in your defense, how often have you had to say that word?
Lycanthropy. I think today's the first thing.
Exactly. So don't worry about it. I've only been saying it for fucking 17 years, so don't worry about it.
This is true. Yeah, I forgot. You are actually very, very well versed in this field.
I love werewolves.
They are pretty
cool.
cool.
I just want to hug one. I just want to maybe
kind of slowly undress him and give him a good meal before you pull off his drawers.
Yeah, take him out to dinner,
Yeah, just run it right across his chest,
Okay, you're writing your own fanfic? But I need you to stop because it's getting hot in here.
This could be a separate career for me maybe someday.
Okay, but long story short, no matter what kind of werewolf we're talking about, no matter what kind of werewolf you believe is out there, the fact of the matter is they are badass and they are a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
Now that we are all on the same page as far as what different types of werewolves are and what they look like, let's move on to the origins and find out exactly where they come from in our history according to different myths and legends. Which are absolutely true, by the way.
Right. Okay. I do got to point out, though, that what I think really does make werewolves terrifying, if you think about it, because to me, one of the scariest things is a rabid dog. And because, these things usually go for the throat. I think even in Resident Evil games, they have the zombie dogs that just jump and start just tearing into your esophagus. So now imagine something that has the exact same reflexive instinct, but now it's also a 9-foot tall man-powered thing.
Exactly. And it's interesting you bring up the throat thing because if you think about it, if you watch footage of a cheetah or some kind of big cat or some kind of predator of that stature hunting prey in the Sahara or not the Sahara, dude. I don't know. In savannah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The jungle. No, it's not a jungle. It's look, I don't know. I don't know what's going on over in Africa. All right. Just wherever the gazelles are and shit and the zebras, right? When you see these animals attacking these prey animals, where do they always go for? They go for the throat.
Right.
It's instinctual in these predator animals. So it's interesting that you bring that up because I believe that werewolves will go straight for the throat too.
Yeah, I would imagine so, especially if you're saying they lose all sense of self and they're more on the animalistic, just instinct side, which is an interesting carryover of that sort of how does that instinct carry over? It's not only do you get the physical transformation, but how is it that the instinctual part suddenly becomes activated? Do we have a latent sense of werewolf in us as humans?
I think there's two explanations that might play off of each other.
Okay.
One might be the fact that as humans, we're animals, right?
Right.
We have suppressed our animalistic nature, but we're animals
True.
nonetheless. And so we kind of know what to go for and what spots on other parts of animals are vital and what to go for. The other thing is that lycanthropy, if you're looking at it as a disease, could be something that modifies us on a genetic level, or infects us on a genetic level. I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. And you think, though, if you are infected with lycanthropy, okay, sorry, I wasn't sure if I said it right. That was my pause.
That was perfect.
Thank you. So with with that, you think maybe even when you're not transformed, you kind of have more like wolfish tendencies?
Yeah, I would think so. I think you'd be a little bit more aggressive, a little more assertive. They say, and this is something we're going to get into a little bit more on the next episode, but they say there's ways to tell if somebody's been cursed or infected with lycanthropy.
Interesting.
And one of a couple of these ways is by physical appearance. Like they're a lot hairier. They have unibrows that grow in really fast. They have hairy palms or like rough palms from them trying to shave it and hide it. That kind of stuff. So there's physical attributes that they take on as even in their human form. But also, if on a personality level, I think that they'd be a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, I could see that. Also, they suddenly have a fetish for collars and eat a lot more raw meat.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, which, by the way, how the fuck was that going for you? Did you ever do that, the raw meat thing?
Never jumped on it. I couldn't not yet. I want to do it, but I just I don't know. I hear people saying on YouTube it's the greatest thing that's ever fucking happened to them. But then I think about it and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that's how you get diseases.
Oh, yeah. And also, those people on YouTube are probably werewolves.
Well, then I'll do it.
No,
I'm in.
You have to be a werewolf first.
Well, then let me message one of them to hit me up, dude. I've been trying to become one for like a long time now.
I hate to say it, but that might be your best lead.
YouTube. Yeah. So, unfortunately, the exact origins of the legend of werewolves is kind of hard to pinpoint. As it is with most creatures we talk about here on Close Encounters. But historians believe that werewolves or some type of proto-werewolf made its first appearance in the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Wow, we're really going back.
Going way back. So here is what happens in this tale. Ishtar, a goddess in the story who is the goddess of love, fertility, sex, and war, falls in love with Gilgamesh himself.
One of those things is definitely not like the other.
I'm going to say it was war.
Yeah. Interesting.
What is war but sex with weapons?
It literally, yes, because people did do that, but
yeah, that happened a lot in Nam.
Yeah, well, happened a lot in a lot of conflicts actually, which we can not talk about.
See, we're animals. It's disgusting.
It never left us.
Upon learning about this goddess's love for him, Gilgamesh gives her the old "begone" thought,
yes,
and turns her down because of her, let's say, aggressive history with past lovers.
That's where the war part comes in.
Yes. You see, Ishtar once had a simple shepherd man fall in love with her, and he would leave fantastic offerings on the mountain for her. And she encouraged the shepherd to continue leaving these offerings and pursue her. But eventually, she grew bored with the shepherd and turned him into a wolf, and he was promptly killed by his own herding dogs, which sucks.
Wow, that's quite a kink.
Yes, and then so that's the first time in recorded human history that we have been able to see a human turn into a wolf.
That's actually a really sad story, to get killed by your own dog who just doesn't know it's you.
Yeah, that'd be like if I turned into a werewolf and Kiwi took me out.
Dude, I think that would be your bad if Kiwi would manage to take you out.
True, he is like a pug.
Yeah,
so
he's a little loaf of bread. That would be, who knows? Maybe he has some like latent instinct that just need to be activated.
Maybe he's a werewolf.
Maybe so. Or like just by seeing you as a wolf is just like his true animal self like kicked in and he just goes like full blown murder.
Dude, he's thick enough to take me down, dude. Like even right now, he's fat. He can knock me over pretty hard, dude.
Yeah, the last time I saw him, he got so excited that he jumped into me like a torpedo and it knocked the wind out of me.
Yeah, I think he could defend himself against a werewolf for a little bit.
So yeah, we should give Kiwi more credit. I think he could hold his own for at least for a little while.
For a bit.
Yeah.
I'll take him out after that, though.
Oh yeah, easily. Serve him for dinner.
What am I, Chinese? All right.
Jeez.
I don't know. Look, man, they're the one that gave us this.
Unnecessary. Where did that even come from? We're not even like talking about China.
I've been angry with them ever since COVID started. I just find any chance I can to yell at them.
Which, really quick, before we go back, did we ever get any updates on the lady who claims that she has proof that China created COVID?
Not yet. I will look it up. Kristen, if you hear this and you seem to be able to find really good shit. So if you can get the intel on that and see if it's real or not, let us know. Also, I'm gonna place a bet if she's not already dead that she'll be dead within 2 weeks. So
yeah, definitely before, because if you think about it, if it's true, well, already she had a death sentence for crossing them. But if it ends up being true, like that would make China like a national like enemy. So like. Yikes!
We're gonna go to war. I bet you anything, if we find out as a country or as the UN in general finds out that China actually did create that in a biolab
and fucked us all over,
it's over, man.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad.
Whew. Maybe that's where you're going overseas to.
Maybe it's not the second Civil War, but the world versus China.
The world versus China, dude.
Jeez.
For more early origins of werewolves, we will now travel to the hairy, greasy, boy-fucking country of Greece.
Oh yeah, that's your favorite joke to make about him.
But ancient Greece, to be specific. I'm not saying in modern times that they did that. They did it a lot in ancient Greece.
Ancient, yeah. Also, I don't think it was just ancient Greece. I think a lot of people were just doing whatever the fuck they wanted back in that time.
True.
Yeah. It's just Greece is where it got recorded.
Yeah, which is technically CP.
Technically, yeah.
We will be discussing a king that ruled over Arcadia known as Lycaon.
Right.
Now, Lycaon was a man who had everything he wanted and more as far as material things go, right?
Sure.
Gold, riches, thousands upon thousands of subjects, and bitches. That was a sick
I was
line,
about to
dude.
say, damn, that cadence.
Woo!
Holy shit.
Woo, watch out, Eminem.
Gold, riches, thousands upon thousands of subjects, and sure, bitches.
Yeah.
Fuck. That's...
I definitely wrote that on accident, but it just worked out.
Dude, hell yeah.
God damn, I'm good. So he was a devout worshiper of Zeus, but he was also seen as a fierce ruler and didn't quite practice what he preached when it came to ruling his own people, right? He was kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
One day, Zeus disguised himself as a common mortal and visited Lycaon's city to see what life was really like under his rule. So he disguised himself. But as time went on, the citizens started to notice peculiar things about the strange new visitor in town, who was Zeus, and began worshiping him as some kind of god.
So it's just undercover boss, but kind of gone a little awry. It's like they found out it was Gordon Ramsay pretty quick.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Lycaon, clearly disturbed by what was going on in his city, most likely brought on by his own narcissism because these people were worshiping somebody besides him as a great king.
Must be annoying.
Invited the stranger to a great feast, but with ulterior motives. He wanted to test the stranger in his apparent godliness, so he made the main course of the meal a sacrificed human boy. In some versions of the myth, this boy was one of his own sons, his youngest one, by the way.
Damn.
So he made a nice steak out of this boy.
Delicious.
Zeus caught on pretty quickly, as you could imagine, and was full of anger. And he was so pissed off that he was tricked in... Zeus caught on quickly, as you could imagine, and was full of anger that he was almost tricked into eating human meat, because even to the Greeks who pulled no punches back in ancient times, doing whatever they wanted to do, touching whoever they wanted to touch, even they refused to cannibalize people.
Well, that's good. It's good to have at least there's some... Everybody has a limit. Even the most fucked up, terrible people in the world have something they don't want to touch.
And apparently that's just eating humans.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
I heard we taste like pork.
Yeah, I heard it was... Because there was a story of a guy who had to get his foot amputated, and he wanted to keep the foot. And so he just like, hey, if any of you guys want to try human meat, this is your one and only chance to do it without it being... Because this is my foot. So, like, and I want to try human. It was a really, like...
Well, wasn't it called like foot tacos or something like that?
Yeah, they made tacos out of it.
Ooh, yeah, dude.
Yeah, and it's just like... And I get, like, in that situation, it's very, like, consensual. We'll say that. But like, that's so disturbing to think about. Like, just the fact that it was like a human being and you know what they taste like, which is like, I don't know, which is weird to think about too, because I fucking love beef. I was a big meat eater. I've always been a big meat eater, but I really like cows. I think they're funny and adorable, and I would pet one. But I also eat the shit out of it no matter what. And like, I don't know. I think that's just a weird thing to have in the back of your mind for the rest of your life of like, oh, I also know what you would taste like if I fucking shot you and ate you right now.
So you're telling me if I didn't get, okay, let's say I had to get my foot amputated.
Yeah.
And it was still fine. Like my foot was fine. They let me keep it.
Right.
I keep it in the freezer for a couple weeks. And I'm like, hey man, I'm having a barbecue. Come on over. And you're like, cool, what's for eats? And I say, well, I got my foot amputated, and I'm gonna dice it up, and I'm gonna saute it in some spices, some sauces, make street tacos out of it. Are you in? You're telling me you'd say no?
Yeah, I would absolutely say no. It's like like I said, it's like, it's not like eating human meat makes you yes, it makes you a cannibal, but it doesn't like mean like now you're gonna like seek it out for the rest of your life. Or like, oh, I'd love to try that again, so I have to fucking kill someone. Or it doesn't make you a murderer. That's really the point I'm trying to make. But just the fact of just that knowledge and just knowing what it tastes like, I feel like that's something that would just make my like life experience just like that much more bizarre and uncomfortable. And like, I don't know if I'd want to live with that knowledge. To me, that's something I would just rather not know.
All right. I'll try not to take offense to it.
Oh yeah, because you want to try it really bad?
No, because it's my foot, man. You're telling me you don't want to eat my foot?
No, I don't want to eat your fucking foot.
I'll eat your foot. If your foot gets amputated and you invite me over for foot tacos, I'm over. I'm there.
Fucking take it. I don't care. I'm just not going to eat it. Yeah, I get it. It's like, nobody's getting like harmed, and because it's an amputation, it was completely consensual, and it's your foot. Like, yeah, no, if I get my foot amputated, if you want it, man, just take it. I'll think you're fucking weird, but you can do it.
All right, fine. This is a discussion for like off podcasts when one of us actually gets something amputated.
But but we can also tie it into the subject of how interesting, though, if you did have a werewolf thing and you did know that you ate somebody, how is that like, even though you were unconscious for it, like, how would that like affect you think?
I don't think it would affect you at all because you don't remember.
Right.
Like you might be able to piece things together. You might be like, oh shit, there's like 10 dead people in my town and I'm covered in blood and my clothes are ripped. And you're like, after a couple months of that happening, you're like, I think I'm the problem.
Yeah. Well, like, what if you transform back and you still have like, a couple like, shit gets caught in your teeth and stuff like that. And you just kind of like unbeknownst swallowing and then being like, wait a minute.
This doesn't taste like beef.
Yeah. What is this?
I mean, shit. Technically, I'm gonna plead insanity. I wasn't me when it was happening, so free game, I guess.
Yeah, and it's just sort of, and that's kind of the thing. See, being a werewolf isn't just causing rampages and getting like wolf bitches and stuff like that. Like, no, that's a thing that could happen if you are eating people and then you turn back into a human. You might still have some human in your mouth, and guess what? Now the conscious version of you now is a cannibal. Good job,
werewolves, but not deterring me one bit, though. Still want to be a werewolf, man. I don't know.
It's a small price to pay, huh?
It is a very small price to pay for immortality, dude. To be a werewolf.
Are they immortal?
Pretty much.
Well,
some say they're immortal. This is a topic for when we get into like modern variations of werewolves and sightings of werewolves. This is more historical, so we're going to be doing a lot of myths and a lot of stuff that happened in like the 14th through like the 17th century.
Okay.
But some say that werewolves are immortal. Others say they're not, but they can only be killed by certain things in their werewolf form. It's convoluted. There's a lot of, but that's something we'll get into in a different episode. But it's something I'll definitely want to touch on eventually.
Okay, yeah, because the immortality. Now you got my attention.
Exactly. See, all you got to do is eat a couple people, man. Just think about what the Donner Party had to do, man. They had to eat a bunch of people.
Dude, yeah, that shit was nuts. And they were like, and that's the thing, is like, and that's different. Like, that was a like life or death, but they did have to kill people for that. No, wait, no, didn't they start off with just the people who died naturally? Yeah. And then some of them got greedy, and I think they murdered like one person in that. It's so fucking crazy that they had to do that.
We're animals. Look, so you're okay. Let's revisit this. Okay, before we finish this legend, let's revisit the foot taco thing.
Okay.
So my foot gets amputated.
Right.
I call you over. I'm like,
Right.
you want to come over for a barbecue? And you say yes. I'm like, I'm not telling you what we're having, so you come over here.
Mhm.
And then you come over, and I put a gun to your head. I'm like, eat my fucking foot tacos, right? So now it's a life or death situation. Will you eat my foot tacos?
Well, if I, in the moment, thought you would actually do it, which I have a feeling you would be very convincing. Well, yeah, a gun to my head, of course I would. I wouldn't be happy about it, but at least I would have that solace of knowing, like, I did this because I absolutely had to, and I hate it, and I won't be happy about it, but, okay, obviously there's a vague curiosity, and it's not to say that we all have cannibalistic urges, but it's human nature to ask questions, and of the more disturbing variety every once in a while, especially if you're willing to let your mind go to those places. Because I don't know, I'm just a firm believer of like ignoring it is worse than, just acknowledging that happens and just being grossed out for a little bit. Like, for example, the other night we had some family visiting and stuff like that. I know it's Corona, but like everybody's tested and checked out. So if you're worried, we're okay. So we were chatting, it was a big like dinner table thing. Like everyone had been drinking a bit, and then me and my brother's wife started talking about like a serial killer. It was the vampire of Sacramento, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
Richard Chase?
Richard Chase, yeah. And how he would just like drink blood, and like his room was just covered. And we were just talking like, it's fucking interesting. I mean, it's horrifying, but that's like, how like far down the dark path, how far the darkness can go with some people. And literally just like one of my brothers was just like, okay, we need to change the subject. I don't care what it is. Like, let's can we just stop talking about this?
Which brother was it?
Younger. Yeah, he like, and it was that moment of like, that's right. Not everybody is like into that.
Well, look, I'm not gonna, like you said, it's a curiosity.
Yeah.
What do humans taste like?
Right.
Unfortunately, I have a feeling I'm not gonna find out unless I become a werewolf.
Yeah, or some.
I should say fortunately. Sorry.
Yes.
Unfortunately was a poor choice. Was a poor choice of words, and I didn't mean it like that. I'm not a cannibal.
Right.
Yeah, I have a basement now.
Right.
But I'm not doing anything with it
Yet.
So don't worry about me. I'm good. I'm totally sane. I'm fine. I'm not gonna go on like no. Let's change the subject. Let's get back to the legend.
Right.
So we last left the king, and he was trying to trick Zeus into eating a steak made of a young sacrificed boy.
Right. And then he got turned into a wolf for trying to trick Zeus.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, I hadn't gotten there. You got there.
Oh, I did?
Perfect. So that's it. That's what happened. So Zeus was pissed, turned him into a wolf. That's the story.
Amazing.
Turned into a wolf. But see, if you notice a similarity with these older legends so far, they turn into full-fledged wolves, right? That first type of werewolf we talked about.
Right.
We're not going to see hybrids until a little bit later on, and that's something we're going to talk about in the next episode.
Yeah. And these ones, they can't turn back. Like, they are just now physiologically a wolf forever.
Yep. It's a curse. So the ones we've been looking at so far are curses, not diseases.
Right.
The disease of lycanthropy is something that we are probably going to talk about in a future episode, because in the early days of werewolves, it was always a curse. It was always a curse or some kind of deal with the devil.
Right.
It was considered witchcraft.
Yeah. Well, back then you didn't want that, because being a werewolf, because back then, like we established before, you lived in a small community of like maybe 40 people, and those were the only 40 people you ever met in your entire life. Turn into a werewolf, you eat everybody's, livestock and kill a couple people. Back then, that was, I mean, obviously it's a big deal no matter what, but back then it was like the whole livelihood of the town. That's like a tenth of your whole population gone.
And you did it.
So it was a curse back then. Whereas nowadays, it's like, I mean, yeah, the killing people thing is still bad, but like, I don't know. I just feel like nowadays it'd be easier to be a werewolf, maybe, or harder because you can monitor shit.
Yeah, I feel like you'd get caught real quick.
Yeah.
I feel like you'll end up in pest control services pretty quick with like a thing that like long stick with the loop around your neck, and they'll be like tasing you and shit.
You mean animal control?
Animal control, yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, it's all the same. They handle animals, right?
They I'll beat poorly sometimes. No, that's PETA.
For this one, we will be talking about a text from Scandinavia called the Saga of the Volsungs. Specifically, the story about the magic wolf skins.
Well, this actually sounds fun.
It's pretty fun. It's a quick story, but it's a fun one. And it's an early one that we get to see.
Ooh.
In this story, two people are out in the woods killing men for bounties. In the thing that I read, it said killing men for booty. But I took that the wrong way and I changed it to bounties.
Yeah, because now we're just back into writing porn again.
Yeah. They stumbled upon a house and entered, where they saw two men sleeping under some kind of spell. These two sleeping men had wolf skins upon their bodies, and these wolf skins could only be removed every 10 days. Well, it just so happened that was the 10th day, and they took the skins off of the sleeping men and put them on themselves to see what all the hubbub was about. Suddenly, they began howling and acting animalistic and went out into the woods, slaughtering many men and women. They actually also, these two people who had the wolfskins on actually also attacked themselves, like we're fighting each other, and one of them almost mortally wounded the other. So they lost all semblance of who they were previous, which is pretty crazy.
So they didn't transform; they just acted animalistic.
It was vague. I'm not sure. I feel like they transformed, but they didn't say they did.
Okay, interesting. So that's kind of I like those kind of more like not like Aesop fable-y, but those sort of like they're stories, you know? It's like an actual like, oh, one day I was here and then this happened and then da-da-da-da-da. And there's like a moral story to it, you know?
Exactly. But they did both survive, which is good.
Right.
But they also killed all those people, which is not good. After the 10th day came, they took off the wolf skins and burnt them in a fire so nobody could use them again. So there's a little happy ending to that one, at least.
Yeah. Well, except for the people who got, slashed and killed, but
they had it coming.
Yeah, I guess so.
They had it coming.
They were bounty hunters too, so it's not too unfounded, but like interesting though. So it was basically just like berserker armor.
It was like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I tricked you into making an anime reference there.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the berserker Vikings.
No, I was talking
that would wear wolf skins.
An anime called Berserk, where he has a berserker armor that like he gets like insanely powerful, but like I mean, I could be wrong, but I think he loses like kind of like a sense of who he is and stuff like that. It's actually you would actually, I think, really like it. It's super fucking gory. Like,
don't you ever talk to me about what I might like when it comes to anime? Because I can guarantee you, it's going to be none of them.
All right, man. I'm just saying. I think as someone who enjoys the more gorier things in life, I think you're though. Actually, I know it's like notorious for never being updated, and also they made it into an animated series in 3D CG, and it looks like ass.
That's what you get for trusting in anime. Look, I like gorier things. I like gore. There's a reason why slashers and creature features are like my top two subgenres of horror movies. But I don't like to have to read subtitles when I'm trying to look at the gore.
It's not that hard.
Reading is hard. Reading is work, dude.
It's not. You just watch, like, if you watch it for just like a couple episodes, you get used to it. And now it's like second nature.
Look, no, I'm not doing it. You can't convince me into watching anime out of nowhere. I'm not going to do it.
So you're telling me you're going to avoid an entire several cultures worth of great cinema and great television just because you can't read fast enough?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
It makes me feel stupid.
That's the most American fucking shit I've heard in my life.
Guess where I live?
Yeah, well, look,
America.
Club. Yeah, Mr. Fuck.
I watch American cartoons made by Americans in American studios, and I refuse to give a penny to the Japanese, all right? Because the last time I checked, we're not on great terms with them because they bombed Pearl Harbor. Yeah. And guess where Pearl Harbor is, buddy? I have family who lives in Hawaii.
Yeah, in Hawaii.
Right? Mm-hmm. All right. And they, you know what? I was visiting there once. I was visiting Pearl Harbor once, and I saw a bunch of Japanese people like as tourists,
right?
Visiting Pearl Harbor,
right?
What are they just planning the second one? Like, what the fuck are they doing there?
Well, that's like seeing an American at the fucking memorial site for like Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
I would never do that. That's so disrespectful. You think that I'm going to walk over there? What am I going to say to the Japanese tour guide in Hiroshima, right? And what am I going to say? I'm going to be like, hey, sorry, like, my bad. Like, what is he going to think I'm like? Why he's going to be like, why is this person here?
To pay respect to even like, it's a whole different generation away. I can understand your implication, but like, I don't think it's that bad. I could see how it can be taken as disrespectful. But like, I don't know. I think I would view it as more of a like trying to learn from it and trying to like,
Yeah,
have a step.
learn where they messed up the first time so they don't do it again. You know what the funny thing is about all this, though, is I'm actually part Japanese. So I'm
That's
just,
the
I'm
best
just kind
part,
of
yeah.
making fun of myself here.
Good God. So, wow, that we really got off track on that one.
All right. Well, now that we've covered a few of the main origins of the werewolf, let's do a little bit of background into the werewolf hysteria of early Europe, and this will help us to set the groundwork for part 2 next week. First off, it's important to point out that Europe and most of the world were highly superstitious at this point in time. This is due to the heavy Catholic influence throughout the continent and these people just living in an early century, frankly, where there's a lot of things they didn't understand.
Yep, a lot of tall tales and made up things to explain.
Made up is not the word that I used.
Right.
They didn't understand what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know what I mean? Like, no, werewolves were attacking people. That
Right.
is just a fact.
Yeah, yeah.
They were thinking everybody else was a werewolf because they didn't understand how lycanthropy works at the time. They were just dumb. They were dumb Europeans, dude. Who lived in like the early centuries. They didn't know things. They thought that if they masturbated, their crops would not be great that year.
Dude, that sounds like a terrible upbringing.
Yes, it was awful. So imagine being in that place and being attacked by werewolves at the same time. Superstition and hysteria is on the rise, essentially. With that is a mixture for disaster right there.
Right. So riddle me this. How come in modern day we don't have like actual curses? We just have like, like cancer and like, sickle cell syndrome.
Because what if those are curses?
It's just diseases. Lycanthropy.
What if diseases are curses, man? You know what I mean?
And they just conveniently modernized with us.
No, now we have names for them. Now we have ways of kind of understanding them. We still don't fully understand cancer.
Oh, why does nobody transform into anything at all anymore? Is that just a trend?
Well, because they're not going to do it in front of everybody, like on social media and shit. No, they're these people who are werewolves and these people who are having these diseases or these curses, whichever way you want to look at it, it's the same thing. They are in hiding. And that's why I can't find one to turn me, because they won't fucking come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I see. The fact that you are actively searching is does add a little credibility, but I don't know. I think this is one of the more fantastical things that you've fallen for.
I'm not. Nope. Didn't fall for anything, man. I know what is out there. I know the truth.
Yeah.
All right. You refuse to know the truth. So when you're sleeping in your bed right here, I'm pointing at Tasker's bed, which is next to a big window,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a full moon, and you hear a howling on that hill right up by your backyard. And you're gonna be like, oh, it's just like a coyote. It's just one of them coyotes. It's not, dude. There's a werewolf staring in from the window looking at you. And if you see one, let me know. I'll come over. I'm gonna be like, yo, don't bite him, bite me. You know what I mean?
I have a feeling if you ever got to be a werewolf, you would seek me out, which, because I feel like, instinct, you're just going to start just going for familiar, whatever sense or whatever. And of course, as you know, you lose all sense of self when you become a werewolf. But I feel like while you're just like, eating me from like my foot up and just like as I'm like screaming to death and stuff, you'll like stop for a second. You'll just point and be like, see?
Told you, bitch.
They go right back to your fugue state.
I can't wait. I can't wait to be one, dude.
Ugh.
You know what? Maybe if I could just like pretend to be one, right? Like put on like a costume, just like a big fur costume.
Yeah, I think you could find a group of people, maybe get a hotel room together and just shoot on each other's faces, just to make sure it's working.
All right. Well, let's go back to early Europe.
Right.
So we all know about the Inquisition, right? We all know about the plights of witches throughout this time, whether they were actually witches or just people accused of conducting witchcraft.
Right.
Right. These witch hunts went on for a long ass time, but as they began to slow down just a little bit, a new threat emerged that made people grab their torches and pitchforks. And Tasker, I want you to take a guess. What new threat was invading Europe? And it wasn't Germany.
People born out of wedlock.
That was close on the heels.
I'm surprised that was.
Werewolves.
Yeah, okay.
It was werewolves, man. Now, werewolf hysteria was starting to get right up there with the current witch hysteria in numbers. And of course, a lot of these accusations were aimed at peasants.
Well, yeah. It was a control thing.
It was it was a control thing, but it was also mostly peasants accusing other peasants.
Oh.
Neighbors accusing neighbors, just like the witch trials of being werewolves.
Weird.
At the time, lycanthropy was actually considered, like I said, an offshoot of witchcraft. And the common belief was that both of these things, both witchcraft and lycanthropy, required a deal with the devil to obtain, hence making them enemies of the church and enemies of the people.
Yikes.
And with every gruesome murder or crime committed, society automatically thought it must be a werewolf, and the accusations and hunting began.
See, I've always, what's interesting about human nature is that this sort of witch hunt thing has never stopped. Like, it just changes because, there was an episode of The Twilight Zone, and I remember because I had to watch it in class, and it was like one of the best days ever because Twilight Zone is badass.
Yeah.
And what had happened was aliens started fucking with like this little suburban neighborhood's like electronics, was just like shutting them on and off. And what had happened was the neighbors started like, well, somebody's like, something's wrong. Somebody we think is extraterrestrial. Like they started accusing each other, and they started just like instantly like turning on each other. And like, so I think one of them attacks another, and it becomes just devolves into just pure chaos. And then the final shot is it pan up to the actual aliens who are just like, how simple that all we need to do is just flick a switch and we didn't even have to do anything. Humans will just kill themselves.
Exactly. No, that's a fantastic episode, by the way. And
Love
yes, 100% true about the hysteria of witches and werewolves and at this time. That's pretty much it for the intro. I just wanted to lay the groundwork with what was going on during the early Europe period of the Inquisition and how werewolves were starting to sneak their way into the hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be getting into specific stories from that hysteria period next episode. But here's the thing. There were witches.
Right.
And there were werewolves.
Okay.
But not everybody was a witch and a werewolf. That was the problem. The problem was, yes, there were some out there that were doing things. I feel worse for the witches because, like, a lot of the times the witches weren't doing anything horrible.
Well, it was just an excuse to kill women, basically.
Yes.
If somebody bugged you, or back in the day, especially in Catholicism, where back then divorce was like, major no. Like, you just could not do it. Whoever you were married to, you were stuck to. And that went for the men, too. And so the men quickly realized, like, or I could just say, hey, she's been loving that raw meat a little bit more. Like, she's been looking a little furrier than usual. And you can just get her killed. And now it's no longer your problem. Like, it's fucked up and terrible, but like, people were just kind of like that back then.
They were. And, the witches weren't doing a lot of, the real ones weren't doing anything for the most part bad. There's good and there's bad in everything, right?
Yeah.
I believe that witches, for the most part, are fine. They're healers, right? They didn't see it like that, which is understandable at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the werewolves, they were the ones that were like killing people and like gutting them, and they were finding these like gutted bodies and like dead children and all this shit. That's understandable that they'd be on a huge werewolf hunt, know. So that's to set up the mood for the next episode.
Yeah.
You're gonna be getting into some dope stories next time.
Yeah, this episode was a major like groundwork one, and like kind of float around. Like we said, this is kind of really the first step into it. Next week is going to be a little bit more of the juicier, like, is it going to be gory? Are we going to get some blood?
We're going to get some blood. We're going to be getting some blood. There's a retarded child that we'll also be talking about. There's a mentally handicapped child, which we will be talking about.
Good for you.
Yes, our manager has begged me to stop saying that word.
Yeah, it's been kind of bad these past couple weeks. It's funny. I see these like dips and dives. Like, you'll like get like a little bit more like what's the word? Not politically correct, because that's completely incorrect.
No,
a little bit more sensitive.
Sensitive. Look. You guys know us. We're not gonna stop saying stuff just because the manager wants us to stop saying stuff. Because technically, I'm the manager.
Technically.
So I can do you know what, Nick, you can say it again. Oh, sweet. There we go. That whole bit was retarded. So let's get out. Let's move on.
Well, as you know, this is the end of the episode. So thank you all for listening and stuff. It was, I feel like we danced around a lot today. Like, we jumped to a lot of subjects, a lot more than we intended, I think.
Yeah, but I think we tied it in pretty well. I mean, because like our biggest divergence was cannibalism, but that
Right.
ties in pretty well
about the
to
same.
eating other people and werewolves, and I think that's where that came from. It's an interesting topic, something we could talk about in the future.
Yeah, cannibals. Because, I mean, that was like the time we watched Cannibal Holocaust together.
Great movie.
That was interesting.
Okay, not a great movie. It's a badge of honor movie.
Yes. It's one of those, like, yeah, because the film itself, what's gross about it is how, like, when the actual cannibal shit happened, that was pretty cool. I mean, the practical effects are pretty neat. And that there was an actual, like, court case where the director had all the actors go into hiding after they released the film to make them think like they actually got killed. And he was on his murder trial. The actors came in and were like, okay, like, guys, we're alive. Like, it was part of a advertising thing.
And it was great. It was a fantastic augmented reality thing.
Yeah. The problem was they killed a turtle on camera in the film, and it was really sad and disgusting.
They killed a couple animals. And another issue with that movie was the fact that the tribes people you see in the movie were actually tribes people who didn't know anything going on, and they had no idea they were being portrayed as cannibals.
Yep.
So, but hey, that's why they call it a 70s exploitation film. And it was fantastic. So
all
watch
in
it.
the
Speaking of exploitation films, Count Chocula, again, I was in Target today, and this is the Target in California.
Yeah, the one that I can go to.
The one that you can go to. I saw Count Chocula boxes there.
So maybe it was just in a different store. So it was there, I just never saw it.
Or they're following me, man. I don't know what's going on here. Everywhere I go, I see the Count Chocula boxes, but nobody else does.
That's bad. That's really bad. I don't know. Have you felt like anybody like following you, or you've been extra conscious of that?
No, but I've been waking up really like exhausted. Like I haven't gotten good sleep, even though I know I'm getting my 8 hours. I know I'm sleeping. I'm not waking up a lot throughout the night, and I'm waking up feeling horrible the last couple days. I have a feeling that like I'm being taken out of my bed at night and like I don't know,
deprogrammed.
Something's going on, and I think that they're following me, man.
This is possible, and I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, and also it could be too. Maybe they're actually more interested than afraid, and that they're doing stuff. Maybe they're just kind of like fucking with you a little bit.
Maybe I'm a werewolf, and I've been transforming at night and going out and eating humans and chickens and stuff. We have chickens here, right?
Yeah, I know a couple people who had chicken too.
Okay, so maybe I'm out there doing that kind of stuff, and they capture me in their van, the Count Chocula van, and then do experiments on me to see if they can turn Count Chocula not only into a vampire like he already is, but some kind of hybrid between a vampire and a werewolf.
They're experimenting on you, and the reason why it's not a bother is because they would rather you. It's actually very smart of them, because if you died from the experiment, it wouldn't be like, if they found you with 2 chocolate like vampire bites and drained like, oh, okay, that's obviously Count Chocula. Whereas if you died of some unknown something, that's a little bit harder to trace. And me, I wouldn't be able to know. I wouldn't know better. And the episode, and I'd end the podcast being like, yeah, Nick keeled over and died one day. Like, what the fuck? And we would be none the wiser.
And if that does happen to me, guys, if I'm right about being followed by Count Chocula and his crew, and something happens to me permanently, Tasker, you need to continue the show.
Yeah,
It will be a one-man show, but you need to continue it. I want you to do your best impersonation of me, and you have to jump between characters.
Yeah, I think I can do it. I think, I've been practicing my voice acting. I've been practicing my thespianship. So I think I'll be good. But I do also got to point out, I do think it's kind of nice where historical vampirism, which was in the beginning of our podcasting, that was when we first began to open our case file on Count Chocula. That was where it all began.
That's where it began. And unfortunately, it's ending soon, I think.
Yeah.
They're closing in. So everybody, please stay tuned. Keep an eye out for me. Keep an ear out for me, because I'm a little freaked out.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there, hopefully. But till then, if you're listening on iTunes, please rate and review. That would be fantastic. 5 stars to shoot us up those charts a little bit, get us a little bit more notice. Spotify, you can shoot us a follow. We have new episodes every Wednesday, as per usual. As we said before, we have no real change for that. Instagram at CEOTPK, YouTube now, Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind if you prefer YouTube listening. Twitter is at CEOTPK1, Facebook, Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. If you want to email us business inquiries or whatever, ceotpk1@gmail.com.
Yes, send us your stories.
Yeah.
We are getting some stories in from some listeners. We need a couple more, and then we will have our episode set for October.
Yeah, we really want to do like a campfire stories like October episode with like your guys' stories. So please, if you got them, please send them. And you can keep it anonymous. You don't have to give your name at all. Like, just, send us stuff.
Just no dick pics.
Yeah, that would be, that could get interesting. It'll change the professional relationship. Discord is discord.gg/lowercase b number 6, capital C, capital T, number 5, capital M, capital X. We're still waiting on Facebook to fix our stupid thing. So the link will be there hopefully sooner than later. You could donate to us too if you'd like at coffeeko.fi.com/CEOTPK. Completely optional. Do not feel the need to do that. In fact, we would almost prefer that you just share it with your friends. Just say, hey, there's this podcast that I want to feel less lonely in listening to.
Exactly. That's what we're here for. We're here to entertain. We're here to have a good time with you guys and talk about the things that we're interested in, and we know that you are too. Otherwise, why'd you click on it?
Yeah, it seems kind of a waste of effort.
But seriously, guys, thank you for listening. Really appreciate you guys. And thank you for indulging me with Werewolves. It ain't over yet. We're part 2 coming next week, Wednesday. Pretty hyped about it. So I hope you guys are hyped as well.
Yep, the part 2 is always the juicier one. But like we said, we always got to start off. We got to get the gears going. We got to warm up the engine, and then we can go full tilt into it. So now that you're just as prepared as I am, we can get into the fun stuff next week.
Exactly. And look, guys, whether you're a dumb werewolf who turns into one once a month during the full moon, or whether you're a Chad alpha werewolf who can turn into one whenever he wants, just remember that the truth is out there.
We all read Animorphs growing up, and we all know this is just the same shit. It's not. Like a funnel cake. Is the mic picking that up?